Right, so the Compendium of Rathe trailer is out and it has in it some pretty nice, although, a little bit fast flashing artwork. So I thought, why don't we take a little bit of time to go through it for anyone, who doesn't have the patience to go through it frame by frame. Go on ahead, grab them all, and yeah, see what exactly we can piece together. Starting off, of course, with the known. So Balance of Justice, right? It does feature on the trailer. We already know that this is the new artwork for it, and that it will feature in the Antiquity pack with that new Antiquity border, along with a normal variant in the actual set itself as just a much needed legendary reprint. Along with Balance of Justice, we also have some updated art for Shelter from the Storm, again in that Antiquity border in the Antiquity pack, but again as a normal reprint in the set itself. So, those two aside, now we get into the good stuff. First off with Tunic. So, yeah, definitely a nice, and I do believe that this one may be circulating somewhere out there already as a Antiquity border extended art, full-framed image of Faerendale Spring Tunic with the new cocktail dress style artwork, right? So, yeah, that's going to be quite interesting because it, slots to me at least below the EA, the gold foil, and the cold foil, but probably a little bit more enticing than, for instance, the rainbow foil from original Welcome to Rathe Unlimited. So it will definitely be a chase variant of Tunic as a legendary reprint, most likely again both in the Antiquity pack with that new border as extended art and as a reprint in the set itself. Now, the other one we have is Enlightened Strike, and yeah, I'm pretty sure this is pretty clear cut, right? It's definitely Enlightened Strike, so yeah, some nice new artwork for that as well. Again, most likely featuring in the Antiquity pack with the Antiquity border and as a reprint in the set. And I'd imagine, like, Command and Conquer or the other cards that we've seen upshifted, it will be a legendary. So yeah, look forward to a new fancy playset of Enlightened Strike. Now, in terms of some new cards, right? We have the Fire That Burns Within, and this one has been revealed as part of the marketing asset for the Compendium of Rathe. So this is a draconic action, but, it's kind of just a fake card, right? So it does rely heavily on Phoenix Flames, and who has the easiest access to Phoenix Flames? Well, Fae. So unless Dromite comes back with a little bit more emphasis on them, I think it's clear to say, right, this is going to be a nice Fae card. And then, similarly so, we do have a new Maxx imagery, right? Now, the card revealed in the marketing asset is Speed Demon and features different art to this itself. Curious to me, right, is that this Maxx sort of appears in between adult and young Maxx, right? He's got the little eye gizmo. I don't know if that's actually replaced his eye or if it's just, like a monocle goggle bit, right? So, yeah, looking forward to see what card this ends up being because I did very much enjoy playing Maxx, and he needs a little bit more love, and Speed Demon, I don't think, is it. Now, we also have Become the Bottle. This one, we have no text whatsoever for it, but, we do know it's a ninja card, at least from the border. So, yeah, I think this is probably just going to be somewhat of a defensive, maybe a Zen state-inducing card, but we'll have to wait and see. Then we have some more speculatory things. So, we have our nice big Chief Rakatan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who did feature on the artwork for Reinar's Brute Mentor, or I should say just Brute Mentor in general, since they can be played with any of the young heroes. And I think Silver Age would be the perfect time to bring back these types of cards. So yeah, I would speculate that this is going to be a new string of Mentors in that rare slot, so that they can be played with the new Silver Age heroes. So artwork matches, unless he himself is just a new hero. I'm putting money on the Mentor shtick. Now, in terms of other Mentors, we have Hala and Dorinthea featured in this artwork. Again, we knew Hala as the Mentor featured in our Dorinthea half of the Classic Battles box. So again, going off of the theory that Mentors are coming back, this is just another one of those cards. I can't see this obviously being a hero itself. We know Hala's coming as an armory deck, so unless this is just some fancy warrior team-up artwork, right? I do like the idea again of Mentors resurfacing. Now, a weird one, right? This is definitely grasping at straws, but hear me out. A Mentor for Ninja. So we've got our little monk character that we've seen here and there with the blue color scheme that matches the Mystic Tiger-focused ninja cards that we've seen throughout the Mistveil. So although this looks like a little bit of a perilous situation, right? The ranger, bow and tow, pointed at our little monk friend, and the tigers clawing at him below. What if it's, commune with nature type card, right? Where his mentor are the tigers, right? And then that leads into Crouching Tigers. So, yeah, put me down for another mentor card, followed with this one as an Aurora mentor. So, the artwork, the imagery, the color scheme definitely matches the alt art Aurora. We know Aurora is coming back eventually this year. So, yeah, maybe a mentor card. Although, again, mentors are strictly for young heroes, so they'll strictly be for Silver Age. So whether this is just an Aurora card by itself, something like, I don't know, Lightning Form or Commune with the Ether, I don't know what to call it, right? Maybe a mentor that, goes into her lightning prowess with whatever that Leviathan-looking thing is. And then mentors aside, we've got potentially some heroes, right? So this one is Enigma with the Chimera behind her. So curiosity here being that she definitely is adult Enigma, right? The artwork is not a young Enigma. So is it potentially a new Enigma for us to have for Classic Constructed, or is it just a new attack card? Now, obviously, a new attack card is a curiosity. It can definitely be there for Silver Age, but obviously anything printed for adult Enigma doesn't work because adult Enigma's gone unless, there's Living Legend Focus on this set. I don't think there is Living Legend Focus. So the curiosity there is for this to fit within the grand scheme of Compendium of Rathe. I'm kind of thinking it has to be an adult Enigma, right? A new hero for us to play around with. And in terms of the illusionist pool, right? It sort of makes sense because we know Dromai is somewhere further down the line. So yeah, potentially a new adult Enigma. Other than that, we also have Jarl. So we go in the opposite way. I think this is a young Jarl, right? So Jarl, frozen, awoken, but back in time, he was part of the forces at war with the old ones, right? If I'm getting the lore even remotely correct. So yeah, a lot of people do want to play Jarl more so than Terra in Silver Age, so a young Jarl I think would be fitting, and I don't think we get a super young Jarl on his journey to becoming Jarl Vitretti. I think it'd be something like this, pre-frozen and after frozen, so yeah, maybe a young Jarl in the works. Then we have our cohort of probably just general support cards with a couple for Boltyn. So as per usual, we have Boltyn in a nice charging motion imagery. So yeah, obviously most likely this is a light warrior card with him front and center. Then we also have his little inspiring pose, again, another classic feature of a Boltyn card. So that's 2 for Boltyn, and overall, looking at the card numbers, there's definitely going to be, 1 to 2 cards for every hero, at least, theoretically, that's what there could be. Otherwise, a handful of cards for every class. So yeah, Boltyn support to try and get him off the ground, who knows? Other than that, we do have Balinar as a card itself, or at least the golden imagery of Balinar. So whether this is, Light Warrior or just Light itself, right? It's a little bit more up in the air. Then we also have Dorinthea embracing the light. So we have sort of seen Dorinthea-esque in a few different Light Warrior cards, such as Express Lightning. So yeah, this could just be a light card. Again, it's sort of that Ray of Hope type feel, or it could be a warrior card, or of course it could be a light warrior card. Now, speaking of Dorinthea, we also have her somewhat in the midst of love, right? But more so just disarming that young knight and showing everyone who exactly is boss. So yeah, the artwork style sort of resembles Ironsong Pride, although definitely a little bit different. But overall, most likely a new Dorinthea card. Then we have some Ira stuff or some Vengeance cards. So the color palette scheme and the artwork more so for me definitely screams that this is, by the same artist-ish, right? So yeah, a few more Vengeance cards to round out that archetype could definitely be super helpful, especially for Silver Age. Then we also have Ira in a fiery pose, similar again to another Enact Vengeance card. Although I shouldn't directly say Ira because it's not quite, right? She's missing some of her, usual characteristics, the longer hair, and some of her armor pieces, but yeah, it just screams another ninja card and a Vengeance card at that. Now, for Florian, we have him communing with the evergreen deer, right? Just, I guess, either decaying it or putting a little bit of life back into it. So, yeah, clear cut. Again, anytime a hero is directly focused, it's obviously some level of support for either that class or that hero specifically. Now, a little bit more obscure, we have the dead, right? Although, I say that, we only have 1 Necromancer and 1 Pirate Necromancer at that. So, yeah, most likely this is a Graver card. It's the usual color palette, and it's corpses going after people in the ocean, right? That just screams gravy. Now, for Levia, we have a nice close-up of her in her Abomination mode. So, we have, obviously, the Demi-Hero already. It's whether or not you think this is a action pose or potentially new artwork for Levia. I mean, similar to Reina, she does need a little bit of love. Same with Boltyn. Maybe they're roped in. Again, there's sort of that thought of, is this the Monarch set? Is the Monarch set pushed to the next set? Is this sort of a tail set? Because we've seen some elemental stuff as well, right? What exactly is going on? But yeah, Levia in this artwork, just reaching out, just screams more of a dynamic hero pose than an action card itself to me. Now, for Wizard, we have our Gaze the Ages older gentleman, right? Don't know his name, but he's communing with a cloud, crane, something, right? So I could stick this in the mentor bin for Wizard, who knows? But other than that, right, it definitely screams the Wizard aesthetic. Now, for techlo Boltyn, we have a much upgraded workshop that looks pretty sick. So again, comparing this to the Levia artwork, this is a lot more full-framed, a lot more going on, so it's, you know, a little bit clearer to be an action card or a card in support. It's definitely not equipment or anything like that. So yeah, techlo Boltyn with his new techlo Boltyn workshop, a little bit better than the old one, and hopefully a little bit more synergistic with what exactly he's trying to do. Now, for Assassin, we're sort of out of cards to compare and contrast with, right? So this is just an assassin doing his job and cutting someone down in some pretty cool artwork. But again, that dynamic feel definitely lends itself to being an actual, probably an attack action card at that. And then for Guardian, we have a nice earthy pose, standing up on a rock and channeling a whole bunch of energy. So probably just another aura to, you know, set up and buff some of those Guardian attacks. And then this one, I'm going to stick it as Wizard, but, you know, who knows? It's a desert, it's fiery, it's ash, could be draconic, but yeah, it kind of screams like Eternal Inferno to me. So yeah, I'm gonna stick it as Wizard, but really, your guess is definitely as good as mine. But for this one, right, this is a curiosity. So yeah, it's very Wizard-esque, it's very Draconic-esque, and it's very Royal-esque. So who wants to kick off the theory crafting, right? Wizard Illusionist one day? Maybe? But other than that, it's a whole bunch of fireballs coming whoever's way. So yeah, I'm going to put it predominantly as a Wizard card. But again, you know, Draconic's up there. Could be Draconic Royal. Could be something specifically for Dromai, right? We'll have to wait and see. But definitely really, really gorgeous piece of artwork that just screams playmat worthy to me, right? Now, for Runeblade, right? We have some otherworldly centipede things, right, being commanded by our Runeblade character. So whether or not this is Shadow Runeblade or just Runeblade in general, can definitely go either way. I generally find that the Shadow Runeblade cards are a little bit darker-esque, but yeah, very dynamic imagery, so really gorgeous to look at, right? Again, another playmat-worthy card. Now, for this to me definitely screams just a bit more open-ended shadow. It's them coming to attack Solana. So between this and the last, right, we're getting a little bit more of that Monarch feel, that Dusk Till Dawn feel. So yeah, definitely a shadow card in my eyes. And then for this card, so this at least screams generic, if not maybe pirate or even thief potentially, but that's going a little bit more off of the little arm imagery we have there. But I definitely say generic, and I definitely say, you know, something a bit more defensive, right? Whether it's you're impeding your opponent, what they're trying to do, similar to, you know, snag or something like that, where you're the one cutting their rope, or, you know, it's something reflexive on your end and it's defending against, right, the rope being cut. Either way, screams generic support. And then lastly, that leaves us with this. And this artwork is definitely something that I think a lot more people will appreciate a bit more heftily than me, right? So again, I know some of the lore, I dabble, but definitely not enough to completely convey what's going on here and do it justice, right? But it's a necromancer reviving someone clearly. So yeah, if you know exactly what's going on, feel free to tell me every little detail, because I do love reading it, right? It's just, you know, for me personally, the lore of Fab is so spread out along the website, right? It's a little bit of a chore to go through, right? And then also put it in, you know, I wouldn't say chronological order, but connecting order. So yeah, Shadow card, Runeblade card, a little bit of a thematic lore card, just speaking to the story that we have a little bit of. Yeah, it's definitely a nice one to end off on. But there we go. That's all the frames that I've pulled from the Compendium of Rathe trailer. Let me know what you think, right? What are you speculating for the set? Hope you enjoyed. See ya.